Hello, I'm Corey Clothier. I'm the founder and director of Stantec's GenerationAV, our autonomy team. And today I am really excited to be talking with a friend and colleague and strategic partner, Tim Woods from POCO Labs and the Autonomous Vehicle Alliance. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Thank you, Corey. My name is Tim Woods. I am the founding partner of POCO Labs, and as well as the general manager of the Autonomous Vehicle Alliance. And for the past 5 years, we have been conducting both B2B and B2C consumer research to identify use cases and value propositions around L4 and L5 AVs.
So Tim, let's talk about the ABF research. So I know you just released it. It's just being published. ABF stands for Accessible Barrier-Free, which is very exciting in the autonomous vehicle community. So I'd love to hear about what it is and why did you do this research?
Well, I'm very excited to talk about it, to be honest with you. This piece of research has been kind of a lightning rod. I've been doing consumer research for about 30 years, and I've never seen such a willingness to hear the research and the results of the research and applying the results of the research. This research had been conducted over the last 5 years. Every single time we spoke with a city, with someone in the healthcare industry, with anyone in the aging ecosystem, they were asking for an accessible and barrier-free vehicle. They're all asking for the same vehicle, but for very, very different reasons.
What were the things that were really exciting learning opportunities with this research?
So when we conducted the research, we spoke with stakeholders, and they included regional transportation authorities, municipal entities. We spoke with people who use manual wheelchairs, who had hearing disabilities, visual disabilities. And all of that kind of an amalgam, right, in the end, was really what we leveraged to come up with what we believe are 3 buckets of opportunity that are all heavily interconnected with each other, but stand alone as opportunities that should be focused on moving forward. And so when I talk about this, the first one that's so obvious is, quite frankly, merging the physical world with digital wayfinding tools. We see an opportunity to pull all of these people who are working on accessibility on multiple levels, whether it's digital tools or it's the physical vehicle itself, pulling them into a conversation, but more importantly, integrating these applications to work to provide a complete trip. Everything from planning all the way to your final destination and everything in between. Personalization of the mobility experience is absolutely one of the most important things that we need to focus on moving forward. And what I mean by that is, if we have individuals with specific needs, in other words, an individual who may use a manual wheelchair or a walker or a quad cane, something like that, the vehicle and the system needs to know who that person is and what their needs are. If we have a vehicle that can amend its behavior to that, then we've hit a home run.
Yeah. Or we have a fleet that can make sure that it can accommodate the special needs of that individual.
Exactly.
That's something that we talked about with some of the early pilots is, do we really need every vehicle to be accessible, or do we need the system as a whole to be accessible?
What we're doing is we're normalizing the transportation mobility experience by having a vehicle that can meet their needs. And by doing such, and this is really kind of the next bucket of opportunity, we leverage universal design to meet the needs of all, which means that everyone will benefit from these implementations, whether that's zero entry ingress egress, or that's audio cues. Everyone gets to benefit from that. And what's interesting about this timing is that we're rethinking everything at this moment in time. OEMs are locking down designs for AV shuttles. And they need to take these things into account, because if they don't take accessibility and barrier-free into account, it's like you're missing the big opportunity. The opportunity is to look at cities as customers, to look at the healthcare industry as customers, to look at the aging ecosystem as customers. When we do that, it opens up a massive opportunity. And by the way, the other thing that I want to say here is that and this is just raw numbers, 26% of the US population has a form of disability.
Hmm.
And what we do is when we rethink this, when we refocus this on universal design, we open mobility up for the majority.
You're talking about it a little bit of really what do we do with this? What do we do with the research? What's next? What's our responsibility?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the last bucket because it's a great example of what you're just saying. The last bucket, which we call the duh. Well, I personally call it the duh bucket because once you start having these conversations with city planners and mobility experts and transportation authorities and end users, you realize that at this moment in time, we have an opportunity to coordinate the design languages between the physical vehicle and the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, the mobility ecosystem, the OEMs, the independent mobility people that are in this, the bus manufacturers, the streetcar manufacturers, the subway manufacturers, and the architectural and engineering firms that are building the infrastructure need to start talking to each other. This has never happened before. I mean, typically, vehicle development and infrastructure development are done in two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is looking at this as one holistic ecosystem. Yep. And having the OEMs begin the dialogue around what does a design language look like that we could coordinate between the vehicle and infrastructure. Because by doing that, we allow the end user to have a seamless experience no matter where they are.
Autonomous mobility is our future, and we need to do it right. I really appreciate you coming and joining us and sharing this really important research in sharing the vision of the AVA and how POCO Labs is helping enable that. So thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you.
Really great.